Shalom, friends. Today, we are discussing one of the most foundational principles of faith, the fear of God. This concept lies at the heart of a life devoted to righteousness. But what does it truly mean to fear God, and why is it so vital? Many people misunderstand this idea, associating fear with something negative, as though it stands in opposition to love. Yet, the Bible, the teachings of Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbinic writings show us that fearing God is not only compatible with loving Him, it is essential to it. Fear of God is not about being terrified in the way one might fear danger. It is a deep, reverent awe for God's holiness, justice, and power. It acknowledges that He is the creator of the universe, the sustainer of all life, and the ultimate judge. This fear shapes our relationship with Him, helping us to love Him with all our heart, soul, and strength, while also guiding us in how we treat our neighbors. As Proverbs chapter 9 verse 10 says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." In this video, we will explore the fear of God through three primary perspectives: the Tanakh, the teachings of Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbinic writings. We will also keep the two greatest commandments at the forefront of our discussion: loving God with all our heart, soul, and strength, and loving our neighbors as ourselves. The fear of God is not a worldly fear, like the fear of danger or harm. Instead, it is a deep reverential awe that acknowledges His holiness, power, and justice. It is recognizing that He is the creator of the universe, the King of kings, and the ultimate judge. As it is written in Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 13, "This is the end of the matter. All has been heard. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." To fear God means to respect His authority and to live with the awareness that our lives are accountable to Him. This reverence should not paralyze us, but inspire us to live righteously. It is the fear that motivates us to love God more deeply and obey Him more fully. The Tanakh provides countless examples of individuals and communities who lived in the fear of God. One of the most vivid is the story of Abraham and the binding of Isaac. In Genesis chapter 22 verses 9 through 12, we read how Abraham, obeying God's command, prepared to sacrifice his beloved son Isaac. At the critical moment, the angel of the Lord intervened, saying, "Do not lay your hand on the boy, neither do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." This story is rich with meaning. Abraham's willingness to obey, even when it meant sacrificing his son, demonstrates the depth of his reverence for God. It teaches us that fearing God involves trusting Him completely, even when His commands challenge our understanding or desires. Abraham's fear was not rooted in terror, but in a profound awareness of God's holiness and sovereignty. The Israelites at Mount Sinai also provide a powerful example of the fear of God. In Exodus chapter 19 verses 16 through 20, the people witnessed thunder, lightning, and the sound of the shofar as God descended upon the mountain. This display of divine power left them trembling. Later, in Exodus chapter 20 verses 18 through 20, they said to Moses, "Speak with us yourself, and we will listen, but do not let God speak with us, lest we die." Moses replied, "Do not be afraid, for God has come to test you, and that His fear may be before you, that you will not sin." This moment reveals the dual nature of fear. On one hand, the Israelites experienced physical fear, overwhelmed by God's majesty. On the other hand, Moses explained that this fear was intended to guide them into obedience. It was a fear that reminded them of God's holiness and their need to align their lives with His commandments. The story of Joseph offers another profound lesson. In Genesis chapter 39 verses 7 through 10, Joseph, a servant in Potiphar's house, faced temptation when Potiphar's wife sought to seduce him. Joseph resisted, saying, "How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" His fear of God was greater than his fear of earthly consequences. Even when falsely accused and imprisoned, Joseph remained steadfast, trusting in God's justice. His example reminds us that fearing God provides the strength to resist sin and maintain integrity, even in difficult circumstances. Rabbi Yeshua, the greatest teacher of all, emphasized the importance of fearing God in relation to loving Him and loving our neighbor. In Matthew chapter 10, verse 28, Rabbi Yeshua said, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. Rather, fear Him who is able to destroy both soul and body in Gehenna." This teaching directs our fear away from worldly threats and toward God, who holds ultimate authority over our eternal destiny. Rabbi Yeshua also highlighted the connection between fear and love in the two greatest commandments. In Mark chapter 12, verses 29 through 31, he declared, "The greatest is, Hear, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. The second is like this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these." Loving God with all our heart, soul, and strength requires reverence and awe. Without the fear of God, our love risks becoming superficial or sentimental, lacking the depth that comes from obedience. Similarly, fearing God compels us to treat others justly, knowing that we are accountable to Him for our actions. The Rabbinic tradition also provides rich insights into the fear of God. In Talmud Tractate Berachot 33b, it is written, "Everything is in the hands of heaven except the fear of heaven." This teaches us that while God controls all things, the choice to fear Him rests with us. It is a decision to recognize His authority and live in submission to His will. The Midrash further explores this theme. In Midrash Tanuma Parashat Aikev, section 2, it says, "Love without fear leads to rebellion, and fear without love leads to despair. Together, they sustain the soul." This balance is essential. Fear keeps us humble, reminding us of God's holiness, while love fills us with joy and hope, drawing us closer to Him. The connection between fearing God and ethical behavior is made clear in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 14. "You shall not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but you shall fear your God. I am the Lord." This verse links reverence for God with treating others with dignity and compassion. By fearing God, we acknowledge that He sees all things and holds us accountable for how we treat others. In conclusion, the fear of God is not something to shy away from. It is the foundation of true wisdom, the guardrail that keeps us on the path of righteousness, and the fuel that deepens our love for God and our neighbor. As we have seen from the Tanakh, the teachings of Rabbi Yeshua, and the Rabbinic writings, fear and love go hand in hand. Let us live our lives in awe and reverence of God, striving to obey His commandments and reflect His love to the world. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more biblical insights. God bless.